Something just exploded behind the scenes in WWE, and it might change everything. Because according to shocking backstage whispers, the man who calls himself the best in the world might have just crossed a line even Triple H couldn't ignore.
And now,
The hammer has dropped.
hard.
CM Punk, reportedly, suspended. And the reason might have everything to do with one name that has been lighting up the wrestling world lately. Zilla Fatu. Yes, that's Zilla Fatu, the son of Umaga, a rising star with the blood of the bloodline running through his veins. But after a fiery, brutally honest interview, the wrestling world may never look at this situation the same way again. And here's the real question. Did Zilla Fatu just expose something WWE wanted buried? Or did CM Punk push things too far backstage again? Because if what insiders are saying is true, Triple H didn't just step in. He slammed the door shut. But before we get deeper into the story,
Quick question for you guys.
if CM Punk really did get suspended, do you think it was justified? Or is WWE targeting him again? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Because this story gets wild. To understand why this situation exploded the way it did, we need to rewind just a little bit. Not months, not years, but to the moment CM Punk returned to WWE. Because when Punk walked back into that company after nearly a decade away, it wasn't just a comeback. It was an earthquake. Crowds lost their minds. Social media exploded. Merchandise sales skyrocketed. And WWE suddenly had one of the most unpredictable stars in wrestling back on their roster. But there was always one lingering concern. One big what if. What if the same issues that followed Punk in the past followed him back? Because let's be honest, CM Punk's career has always been legendary, but it has also been volatile. From locker room clashes, to public pipe bombs, to that infamous backstage drama that rocked an entire company not too long ago. Punk has never been someone who quietly sits in the corner.
He speaks his mind.
No matter who it upsets. And sometimes, that comes with consequences. But nobody expected the spark that would ignite the latest controversy to come from someone outside WWE. Someone who hasn't even officially stepped into a WWE ring yet. Zilla Fatu. For those who don't know, Zilla Fatu isn't just another young wrestler trying to make a name. He carries a legacy. He's the son of the late Umaga, one of the most terrifying and unforgettable forces WWE has ever seen. And if you've watched Zilla in the ring, you know the apple didn't fall far from the tree. He's explosive. He's intense. And he's been gaining serious momentum on the independent scene. But recently, Zilla sat down for an interview that turned a lot of heads. Because he didn't just talk about his career. He didn't just talk about his goals. He started talking about the business, the politics, the locker room culture. And at one point, the conversation drifted towards CM Punk. Now, at first it sounded like respect. Zilla acknowledged Punk's legacy, his influence, his ability to change the game. But then the tone shifted. And what he said next sent shockwaves across wrestling fans online. According to Zilla, there are people behind the scenes who are already frustrated with the energy surrounding Punk backstage. Not everyone, but enough. Enough that some talent reportedly feels like they're walking on eggshells again. And when the interviewer asked if Punk's reputation still follows him, Zilla didn't dodge the question. Instead, he basically said something along the lines of, when someone brings that kind of drama everywhere they go, eventually people start wondering if the problem isn't everyone else.
Boom. Just like that.
Clips of the interview started spreading everywhere.
Twitter,
Reddit, YouTube. And fans immediately split into two camps. Team Punk and Team Here We Go Again. But here's where things get interesting. Because sources started claiming that word of the interview made its way back to WWE.
fast.
And apparently, CM Punk heard about it too. Now nobody knows exactly what was said backstage after that. But several insiders claim things got heated. Very heated. Some reports suggest Punk confronted people about the interview. Others say he was furious that someone outside WWE was talking about internal locker room issues. And then, things allegedly escalated. Now to be clear, WWE hasn't officially confirmed every detail of what happened next. But the rumor mill says that whatever went down caught the attention of the man running creative, Triple H. And if there's one thing we've learned during Triple H's leadership era, it's this. He's not afraid to make tough calls, especially when it comes to locker room stability. Because the WWE locker room today is very different from the chaos-filled days of the past. It's younger, hungrier, and by most accounts, much more unified. And if something threatens that environment, Triple H has shown he'll step in quickly. Which leads us to the moment that stunned a lot of people behind the scenes. Because word started spreading that disciplinary action had been taken. And the name attached to it? CM Punk. Suspended. Now, before you jump to conclusions, let's talk about what a suspension in WWE can actually mean. Sometimes it's minor. A cooling-off period. A way to calm tensions before things spiral. Other times, it's a serious warning shot. A reminder that no one is bigger than the locker room. Even someone as famous as Punk. But here's the part that has fans debating like crazy right now. Was the suspension actually because of what happened backstage? Or did the interview simply expose tensions that were already building? Because remember, wrestling locker rooms are complicated ecosystems. There are egos, alliances, friendships, rivalries. And when someone as outspoken as Punk enters that environment, things can get unpredictable. Some wrestlers love that fire. Others, not so much. And according to certain whispers, there were already some uncomfortable conversations happening long before Zilla Fatu's interview dropped. Which raises another big question. Did Zilla accidentally pour gasoline on a fire that was already burning? Or did he simply say what others were too afraid to say publicly? Let me ask you something real quick. Do you think Zilla Fatu was wrong for speaking on CM Punk? Or was he just being honest? Drop Team Zilla or Team Punk in the comments. I'm really curious where you guys stand on this. Because the situation gets even more intense from here. After news of the alleged suspension started circulating, fans immediately started digging, looking for clues, trying to piece together what really happened. And that's when something else caught everyone's attention. Subtle but interesting social media activity. A few wrestlers who normally interact with Punk online suddenly went quiet. Others posted cryptic messages about respect and professionalism. Now this could be coincidence. Or it could be a sign that something serious really did go down backstage. Because WWE talent rarely posts vague messages unless something is brewing. And if tensions were already high, the Zilla Fatu interview might have been the spark that lit the fuse. But there's another layer to this story that people aren't talking about enough. The bloodline. Think about it. Zilla Fatu isn't just another wrestler speaking out. He comes from the most dominant wrestling family in the industry today. The Anoa'i dynasty. The same family connected to Roman Reigns, the Usos, Solo Sikoa, and countless legends. And whether intentional or not, any statement coming from that lineage carries weight. So when Zilla spoke openly about locker room drama and mentioned Punk's reputation, people listened.
Fans. Media.
And maybe even WWE executives. Now here's a wild thought. What if this situation actually affects Zilla's own future? Because, let's be real, WWE has likely had its eye on him for a while. He has the look, the lineage, the intensity. But after that interview, did he just put himself on the radar for the wrong reasons? Or did he prove he has the kind of fearless attitude WWE loves? That's another question I want you guys to answer. Should WWE sign Zilla Fatu right now? Or should he stay on the independent scene longer? Let me know in the comments. Meanwhile, back to CM Punk. Because suspension or not, one thing is certain. Punk isn't the type of person who stays silent for long. History has shown us that. When Punk feels wronged,
He speaks.
sometimes loudly, sometimes explosively. And fans are now wondering if a response is coming. Maybe in an interview, maybe on social media, or maybe inside a WWE ring. Because imagine this scenario. Punk returns from suspension, grabs a microphone, and addresses everything. The interview, the rumors, the locker room tension. That kind of moment would break the internet. But it could also reopen wounds WWE might be trying to close. Which is exactly why Triple H's role here is so important. Because behind the scenes, he's balancing two things: star power and locker room harmony. CM Punk brings massive attention to WWE, but maintaining a positive backstage environment matters just as much. So if Triple H truly did suspend Punk, it sends a very clear message. No one is above the system. Now, as we approach the end of the story, there's one final twist to consider. Because sometimes in wrestling, real-life controversy becomes storyline gold. And WWE has a long history of turning backstage drama into television magic. What if this entire situation eventually becomes part of an on-screen narrative? Think about it. Zilla Fatu eventually signs with WWE. CM Punk returns. And suddenly there's tension. Words exchanged. A legacy clash between Punk and the next generation of the bloodline. That kind of feud would be electric.
But for now,
everything remains uncertain. All we know is that the wrestling world is watching closely.
Fans,
Wrestlers, executives, everyone is waiting to see what happens next. Will CM Punk respond? Will WWE address the suspension publicly? Will Zilla Fatu double down on his comments? Or will this entire situation quietly fade away behind the curtain? One thing is guaranteed, though. In professional wrestling, drama never stays buried for long. Before this video ends, I want to leave you with one last question. And this one might spark some serious debate. If CM Punk's attitude is causing problems again, should WWE keep pushing him as a top star? Or is it time for the company to move forward with the next generation? Let me know your thoughts below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most explosive stories in wrestling right now, make sure you like the video, share it with another wrestling fan, and subscribe to Ring Rumble for more breaking wrestling drama. Because trust me, this story, it's far from over.